I just might have found the film journal of my dreams. We shall see. Okay, I got this Moleskine film and TV journal, and I've been looking at it for a while. I love my Letterboxd. I would continue to use my Letterboxd, but I'm just looking for more and more analog things, right, that I can do with my hands and be sitting and doing at a cafe, but also like when I'm watching a movie at home, I need to stop being on my phone. So the inside of the front of this has a lot of really great sections about, you know, some of the best film directors from different countries, a timeline of the history of cinema, and some really great sections for you to fill out that have like your favorite movies and stuff. This section is for all of your movie logging. So we've got title, genre, when, where, with, your opinion, your notes, the year that it came out. And so it truly is just like another Letterboxd, but I am excited. I want to dress it up a little bit. So I've been holding on to this Letterboxd sticker that I got when I was at the Cannes Film Festival, as well as this little Oscar statuette that I recently got from the Academy Museum. I do have a couple of other like film related stickers that I contemplated putting on, but I think I'm gonna leave the front clean for now. So I'm just moving these guys around and deciding where I want them to go. And then I'm going to fight with this sticker. I'm going to fight with it for a very long time. So it has been sped up, but please know that I was getting very frustrated. Fun fact about me, I absolutely hate stickers. I have since I was a young child. I hate touching them. I hate feeling them. I don't mind when they are like nice stickers and they are adequately affixed to what they're supposed to be attached to, but the idea of them coming off drives me crazy. Taking stickers off of anything like new DVDs or clothing items or whatever absolutely grosses me out, and living as an adult and not being able to make my parents or my roommates do it anymore is something that I'm just gonna have to quietly suffer about. But I think these look pretty nice. Hopefully they're good enough quality that they'll stay on here. Okay, now I'm already a little behind on my diary because I wanted to make a video about getting this started. And so I've been hoarding all of my movies for the month. And so now I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna try to decide how exactly I wanna set this up. I love how this journal has sections for you to fill everything out so you don't have to just like freehand it. But there are still some adjustments I think I want to make. So here I've just like practiced writing it down because I want to make sure that the title will fit. Filling out the first page of a journal for me is so unbelievably stressful. I feel like if I mess up or if my handwriting looks bad, then I've effectively ruined the journal, which I know is 100% not the point, but it stresses me out. So I'm trying to work very slowly and use my best handwriting and try not to misspell anyone's name, which you will see me do later in the video, I'm sure of it. But I also want to have fun with this journal and still include my personality. I think it will help me keep track of exactly what I thought of different movies. I don't write reviews on Letterboxd for every single movie that I see. And sometimes I look back and if a movie was average enough or whatnot, I forget what the movie was about or what I thought about it. I usually just have like a general feeling in mind regarding it. So I'm excited to try this out. Hopefully there's enough pages for me is what I'm most worried about. But if I like it, then I'll just keep doing it. I would love to have a giant stack of these. I think that would be super fun. So you did just see me write down Peyton Manning under the cast of Bradley Cooper's new film Is This Thing On? That was shocking to me. As a Hoosier, I looked around the room as if someone was going to like look at me and know that I was feeling some type of way. But I thought Is This Thing On was okay. I'm a big fan of Bradley Cooper, both as an actor and a director. I think A Star is Born was a magnificent film. And honestly, I really loved Maestro as well, especially the performances from him and my beloved Carey Mulligan. I am interested to see where he goes with his directing career from here, because I'm kind of afraid that He did this as a detour from his last two films because, as many people talked about on the internet, he wasn't getting the recognition that he should have gotten, but maybe also felt as though he deserved. And I just hope that that doesn't take away his passion for taking bigger swings, because I felt like this was just kind of an average film. I do think that anytime he was on screen, you felt the levity of the entire theater. Everyone was excited every time he showed up. And I think that's the joy of playing like the second fiddle character. But also, I would have been interested to see what this film would have turned out to be if he had been in the Will Arnett role. That's not to say that I don't appreciate Will Arnett, but I feel like maybe he could have brought more layers to the performance in the lead. Okay, back to the formatting and layout here for a minute. There's not a star rating section. They do have these thumbs up and thumbs down in the top left-hand corner. I just love a star rating, so I'm gonna put those at the bottom of these pages where there's a little bit of space, and I will use the thumbs up and thumbs down later. But first, we're gonna move on to my second movie of the year, which was The Testament of Anne Lee. This was a hard watch, but my God, it was beautiful and it was so well done. So I'm gonna space out my title here again and then use Letterboxd and sometimes IMDb to fill in the metadata for the film. This was a double feature with Is This Thing On? And so I realize around here when I'm filling out the When, Where, With section on The Testament of Anne Lee that I want to include that it was a double feature on the previous page. So I'm going to go back to Is This Thing On, write that it was a double feature, and add that to The Testament of Anne Lee. I'm also going to add a cheeky little sad face in the awards section of this page because it wasn't nominated for anything at the Oscars after The Brutalist was so well received by the Academy last year. You also just saw me outline the thumbs up. I think for this section, I'm going to just outline the thumbs up or thumbs down if I liked or didn't like the film, but then fill them in if I really liked or really didn't like the film. The Testament of Anne Lee, I think, was masterful, but it was an incredibly hard watch, especially for those of us with religious trauma. So I'm gonna leave it as an outline. But I did give it 4 stars. I'm gonna put that at the bottom right of the page, and I will be watching Lewis Pullman in everything now. I had an appreciation for him after Top Gun, but especially Thunderbolts earlier last year. But my God, the man can act. Around here, I start realizing that writing around the camera and the tripod is not going to continue to work. It is not sustainable. And I'm just going to start filling in the titles and the metadata, and then I will go back and write my opinions and thoughts later just so that I can continue to see how I want to lay out the journal. Ella McKay was a thumbs down, in case you're wondering. Fourth film of the year was Battle of the Sexes, and I thought this was pretty good. I'm not a historic bio kind of person, but obviously Emma Stone and Steve Carell are going to bring a certain amount of charisma to anything that they do. I do feel like they were held back a little bit. I'm also going to showcase here that I wasn't sure if this film had been put up for any awards because I hadn't seen it yet, and this is a 2017 film, so I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of Letterboxd and go to IMDb, where I know that they have a good list of all of the awards that it was nominated for. This section is a little tight and looks a little wonky, so I resorted to doing arrows for those who were nominated, and honestly, it will continue to look a little silly for all the other films that I use that section on. My next film of the year was Porco Rosso. I have been watching all of the Miyazaki films the last couple of months for the very first time ever. I'm not a huge animated film person, and it was a huge blind spot in my film history. And so Porco Rosso is actually now going to be my second favorite Miyazaki film. I absolutely adored this. My next film of the year was The Jerk. Absolutely hated this. It aged so poorly. Drop, however, was so bad that I had such a fun time. I didn't really like Song Sung Blue. I think this is going to end up being one of those nominations. in the future that everyone's like, yeah, that just kind of got in because everyone likes Kate Hudson. American Ultra I watched because I have been going through Jesse Eisenberg's filmography, and this is usually not my type of film, and I really enjoyed it. Clerks I appreciate for an indie film history perspective, but otherwise it's not my thing. No Other Choice I appreciated from a filmmaking standpoint as well. I also think it was incredibly interesting and well acted and had moments of, dare I say, like whimsy to get the point across, which I thought was super interesting. It was here that both my camera died and it started to get a little dark to film, which works out because I want to show you what it looks like now. It is the 3rd week of February and I have backfilled all of my logs. I also went through and checked off the film and TV shows that I watch on these like greatest of all time lists. I also went through and filled in these great watch list sections that you can make them whatever you want. I also went through and filled in my all-time favorites sections. So there's movies, TV series, animated movies, documentaries. Can you tell which one is my least favorite of those 4? As well as directors and actors and actresses. There's a couple other sections you can also make your own. I really love this soundtrack section as that is very important to me. And then I wanted to go through and show you a few things I adjusted. So for films that I felt like fine about, I put this slash mark between the 2. And then I'm gonna flip through a couple more and get to this little heart in the top right hand corner, which I use to denote like when I would heart a film on Letterboxd. That way when I'm flipping through, I can see it pretty easily. I also wanted to show you how I was talking about that award section can just look goofy. There's just so much to add there. I also started adding these like hashtag sections on the bottom. This was my first rewatch of the year. Cry Count is a list that I've had on Letterboxd for a long time, just to keep track of movies that make me cry, which is almost every single movie. And then I wanted to show off, this was my first screening of the year. It was a 35mm showing of Return to Oz with a Q&A with the filmmaker. And so I write that in the when, where, with section, and then I'm using the notes section to keep track of some of the things that I learned during the Q&A. And then I also wanted to draw attention to the memorable quotes section. I love that this is included. I'm a huge quotes person. If a movie or a book is quotable, they immediately go up in my books. I love being able to keep track of this. So these are quotes from The Fisher King. I went through a big rom-com rewatch section after I watched My Best Friend's Wedding in theaters for Valentine's Day. That was so much fun. I very excitedly have also gotten to go to a lot of Q&As with Timothée Chalamet this week, who's really gunning for that Oscar. So I wanted to show, this week's been busy, I haven't filled these out yet, so I'm just using this little string. There's 2 of them, one to denote where I need to go back and fill some pages in, and then I use the other string at like the last movie that I've added to the journal. I did also want to show there is a TV series section of the journal. The only difference is as this like number of seasons, episodes, favorite character section instead of when, where, with. I think I'll just continue to use these as I have been for movies because I'm certainly going to need more pages. And I do watch TV, but not as much. There's also these sections in the back that I don't know if I'll use, but I think they're quite handy that they're here. Maybe I'll find a use for them in the future. There is also a page content section, which I'm excited to fill in. I think that will be nice just for when you're trying to find a specific movie review or whatnot, and you don't want to have to sit there and flip through them. And then it did come with this little booklet called My Awards Night Party. The Oscars are coming up in about a month now, and so I'm excited to use these. They have little like tear out ballots in them, so we'll see how those end up looking on March 15th. As with most Moleskine journals, there's also this little pouch in the back, and it did come with 2 packets of these little stickers that you can add to your pages. I wish there were more of them because I just feel like it's not enough to be able to add to every single page, so I haven't figured out how I'm going to use those yet. But that is what my film and TV journal looks like now. So I'm very pleased with it and excited to keep it going throughout the rest of the year.